This is hopefully the last time I have to use this thing because it's 77 degrees in the Grand Canyon, and that's where I'm headed. I've been living in my van in Vegas and California for pretty much the last 7 months, and now it's time to start my 3-month road trip back home to the East Coast. This past weekend, my friends came to visit me in Vegas. I picked them up at the airport. We spent a little bit of time here, and then we drove right to Zion National Park. Spent the night there, woke up early, and got to do some awesome hiking. We did the West Rim Trail and the Scouts Overlook Trail, which are basically the trails that lead up to the infamous Angel's Landing. But since Angel's Landing got so popular over the last year through Instagram and TikTok, you're not able to do that unless you have a permit. We had a permit, but it wasn't until the end of our trip on Sunday, and we decided that we wanted to get our hiking done in the beginning and then do the Vegas Strip for the end of the trip. But the hikes were amazing. We had some awesome views. It was listed as strenuous, but we all made it, and it really wasn't too bad. Then we headed back to the Strip and spent the other 3 days there. We got tattoos, we went to brunch, we went to a day club and saw Loud Luxury. We went to Fremont Street and saw Simple Plan. So it was pretty much a jam-packed vacation for my friends and I, and I'm glad we were able to do it before I started my trip back home. I dropped them off at the airport yesterday, and I was gonna spend about another week in Vegas just getting everything together and planning my trip, but it's 102 here. I started planning my route, and I realized that the first place I wanna go is the Grand Canyon, and it's only 77 degrees there. So I'm all packed up, it's time to hit the road, and I'm leaving Vegas for good. All right, so I just arrived in Williams, Arizona. It's about 45 minutes from the entrance to Grand Canyon. I'm currently at a truck stop, so I'm gonna stay here for the night and make a plan of what I wanna do while I'm in this area. But unfortunately, as soon as I pulled into the parking lot, the van started making a really bad noise that it never made before. It almost sounds like it's dragging something, and I thought it was part of my exhaust, but there's nothing dragging. Maybe something broke off and got caught in the wheel, I don't know, but every time the car is moving, it's making a really bad grinding sound. So I gotta get that fixed. I found a repair shop that's about 2 minutes away from the truck stop that I'm staying at right now, but the shop is almost closed, so I'm gonna take it over first thing tomorrow morning and hopefully find out that it's not a big deal. In the meantime, I'm just gonna hang out here, make some dinner, work on some music, and plan my trip that hopefully won't be interrupted by car troubles. All right, it's the next day and I got some pretty good news. The van is fixed and it didn't cost me too much. Turns out one of the wheel bearings was bad and it cost me $370 to get it fixed. But the van was remotely undrivable, so I'm glad it wasn't an issue that would have cost me $3 grand to get fixed. $370 still kind of sucks, but at least it's manageable. So now that it's fixed, I'm pumped up, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna spend one more day in Williams, Arizona, where I am now, and I'm gonna get prepared to be off grid for the next 2 days. Because once I get closer to the Grand Canyon, there's not gonna be that many amenities nearby. So today, I'm gonna get my wash done, I'm gonna go food shopping, I'm gonna fill up my water tanks, and do anything else I need to do to get ready. I'll spend one more night here at the truck stop, then I'll get up early tomorrow morning around 5:30 so I can take the 45-minute drive to the Grand Canyon and hopefully beat most of the crowds. We'll see how it goes, but for now, I'm just gonna get some stuff done and prepare for tomorrow. The town that I'm doing laundry in is a Route 66 town, and I was gonna walk around, but it's raining now. And now it's sunny and beautiful out. All right, it's just about 6:30. I am headed towards the Grand Canyon now. A little bit later than I wanted, but hopefully it's still not too crowded and I can get done what I want to get done. I picked out a couple good hikes. I think I know where I need to go, so we'll see how it goes. Should get there in about 45 minutes, so once we get there, we'll figure it all out and make a plan for the rest of the day. I made it to the visitor center parking lot, and surprisingly, it's not that crowded. It's still kind of early. I would imagine it's gonna get a little bit more crowded a little bit later on, but we're off to a good start. So the first spot that I'm heading to is a lookout called Mather's Point. So I got my bag all packed up. I got my water ready to go. So it's time to take the first look at the Grand Canyon. Currently walking around the South Rim Trail of the Grand Canyon. There it is, right next to me. Pretty cool. There's a bunch of designated lookout spots on the trail, but they all get really crowded, and you can pretty much stop anywhere and get a really good view. So it's not really worth it to go to the designated lookout spots. Some of them maybe, but definitely not all of them. All right, I'm back in the van, back on the road. We're still in the park though. We're going to a different section of the park. So it's a 25-mile scenic drive. So we're gonna get to see some of the canyon, and it's pretty cool. So far, my experience with the first half of the park was pretty cool. I did a 2.8-mile hike. Well, actually it wasn't really a hike. It was more of a leisurely walk, I guess. But it was around the south rim of the canyon, so I had views of it the entire time. About halfway through that section of the trail, there was a geology museum that gave you a little bit of information about how the canyon was formed, so that was pretty cool. And then after the museum started the Trail of Time. The first 100 years were marked all the way out with little plaques on the ground. So I took a video with year 31 because that's how old I am. And then after the first 100 years, it went up by thousands, and then it went up by tens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands, until the remaining like mile and a half of the trail got us to 2 billion years of information about the Grand Canyon. Or 2,000 million, as they call it for some reason. I don't know. After I got to the end of the Trail of Time, I jumped back on a shuttle bus so I didn't have to walk another 2.5 miles back to the visitor center where I was parked. Got back to the parking lot, jumped in the van, and now we are driving down the Desert View Scenic Road. Basically, it's just a 25-mile road that's going to take us to the Desert View section of the park. But I decided that I'm not going to do any of the really strenuous hikes for the Grand Canyon, just because I've already seen some amazing views of it, and I'm going to be doing a lot more national parks on my trip that are going to require some strenuous trails. So I figured I'd take it easy with the Grand Canyon and just take in the views. All right, so I just did Navajo Point and the Watchtower, and they were cool, but nothing special. Don't get me wrong. I think the Grand Canyon is awesome and everybody should see it, but after walking 2.5 miles of it, it kind of all looks the same. But I'm still glad I did the Desert View section of the park because it was actually 25 miles closer to my next stop, which is Bryce Canyon. So I'm going to spend one more night in the Grand Canyon area. I'm actually going to try to stay in the park. There's a big visitor center parking lot here. There's no signs that say you can't park overnight. It might be frowned upon. Maybe I get a knock in the middle of the night. I don't know. I'm going to try it. It's a nice, big, safe parking lot. So worst case scenario, I have to leave. But that's a wrap for the Grand Canyon. I'll stay here one more night, and then early tomorrow morning, I'll head to my next stop, which is Bryce Canyon, and continue my trek back east to Philadelphia to be home the week of Thanksgiving. So that's it. Make sure you're subscribed here so you can keep up with my journey as I'm living and making music right here in my van. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching this one, and I will catch you in the next one.